Before you sign the MOU, you've got to define the exit point. So everybody is very clear that there's no dependencies, there's no heartbreak, there's no recrimination, we're not going to be angry, we've decided this is the objective, this is our responsibility, this is the outcomes, and then I'm going to go. Do you understand that? So an exit strategy is predefined for every program. Sam.
I just wanted to ask, when do you start communicating the exit to certain projects? Like if you're now ready to say now we're going to exit this project, when do you start communicating?
I just want to make sure I hear you correctly. You have not predefined exit with your existing programs. You've got to now negotiate. If you do, for instance, annual funding cycles, it's easier because they know at the end of the year it's done. Because it's probably covered under your guiding principles for funding. Remember, one of the funding principles is what is the time we're going to fund you for. So if that's kind of predetermined, you know, it's only 12 months or only 24 months, you've got a back door. But if you now got to go back and negotiate, it may be a little bit more difficult. Because we both got to agree.
I just want to say have an MOU because it's so important, and I say that because we had partners who we didn't have an MOU with, and it wasn't even that we were exiting, we were just decreasing the amount of support we were giving in, and we were met with a lot of anger and a lot of hurt and a lot of frustration, and it's because we hadn't defined our plan and that we did have the intention to slowly pull away, and yeah.
It was implied.
It was implied, yeah. So I cannot overemphasize that communicate at the beginning and have an MOU, definitely, yeah.
Did we answer your question? So here's another, sorry, Henry.
I just want to ask, are you aware of any really sustainable projects? Can you give us examples of the project?
Yes. And the reason why I can say yes is because I've discovered one secret ingredient. For a program to be sustainable, there must be some form of economic activity. I promise you, I have tried this formula over 700 programs. The most sustainable programs is there some form of income generation, income distribution. So, which is why I still prefer to speak about socio-economic development, because it speaks more to an economic outcome than social investment or corporate social investment.
Just in the sort of food space, I'm just thinking of a project that in my mind comes to the closest to being sustainable. So in Rwanda, there's this project where they have a dam with fish in it, and then over the dam they build these platforms with cages with chickens in it, and then they'll feed the chickens, and then the chickens will defecate in the dam to feed the fish, and then below the dam they have a field with maize, and then that water will be used as fertilizer and stuff to feed the maize. They will use the maize to feed the chickens, and then the process.
And what we call that? A circular economy. Part of social innovation.
But the challenge was, after a while, the people started eating the chickens. So we had no more chickens. But now they use rabbits. That was quite interesting.
It's such a good case study. Thank you so much for sharing that. One of the biggest, most favorable kind of programs companies wanted to fund was environmental programs, waste management programs, and turning waste into income. So that was, and that's where it started hitting for us the most successful. The moment money enters the system, there's empowerment. There's something to use, to reuse, typically in a circular way, but I can tell you, in my humble opinion, after 700 programs, the secret ingredient is economic development. So I've got another question for you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I've got another question for you. What's the difference then between an exit and a turnaround strategy? Because we're talking about sustainable development now.
So isn't it the one that you exit, you're not coming back, and the turnaround is you're still part of your job, still out there?
Okay, that was, I think this covered. That's when I say for turnaround, it's when maybe the company or the organization is not doing well. And the kind of things that we need a package of helping them to improve its operation. Then turnaround,
Yes. It's a fallacy that development works, always. We know that. And I just want to give you alternatives to exit versus turnaround. Because we've got to make provision. So remember when we spoke about budgets this morning, one of the things that you will have to give or provide money for in some way is if things go wrong. Because you live in a dream world if you think, I've dedicated my program expenses, my budget for this program is done. Because the question is, what are you going to do if something goes wrong? So you've got to build in that spare capacity specifically. The point that I just want to make, as much as sustainability has to be provided for, described, defined, exit has to be described and defined, and turnaround, what if stuff goes wrong, needs to be defined as well. You've got to have a risk management strategy for every intervention. So, what to look for if we talk about sustainability in organizations? And this is a little bit related to the due diligence we did earlier this morning, because one of the top line items after evidence of an NPO certificate is proof of sustainability, which I don't know how you're going to determine that, but I want to give you ideas here. Currently, 80% of all kind of projects is a pay for service. That's the implementation model, right? I'm going to pay you for a program. That's the service you deliver for me, that program management activity. But what are you going to do when you look at enterprise development? What are you going to look at income opportunities that needs to be created? And I want you to consider, if you use an organization, shouldn't there be consideration for a preparation phase to set up the next cycle? Let me explain what I mean by that. If you think about any of the organizations you currently fund, how many projects do you think that run simultaneously? Do you think they just work for you? Do you want to just nod or shake? It's a question. So how's that sustainable? You don't have just one customer. So can you see what I'm saying? So we expect a lot. We imply a lot. So what are they going to do once they're finished working for us then, with our project? Not your problem. But why then you in the development space? I just want you to think a little bit further. Because you don't just have one customer. I don't have just one customer. The moment I sign a contract, the race is on to get, because once that contract's done, I need to move to the second contract. So in my own little one-man business, I have to think about that. What do you think is going to happen in NGOs? Exactly. You've got to help them to capacitate, to fundraise, to set up the next cycle.
I'm so sorry to keep talking about Tiger Brands, but I know.
No, it's fine. I'm sure that the rest don't mind.
But to tell you about the things we've done well, we've done a lot of things not so well, but some things we got right. And one of the things that we did in our workshop that we mentioned when we ran with our partners, our NGOs, is we had one session and it was a start. But maybe this is something the other governments might like to build in the engagement. We had someone come in who was an expert in helping NGOs diversify their revenue streams and their income streams and how to start to think about social enterprise development and that kind of thing. And that was one of the sessions, is we brought someone in to work with our NGOs to start thinking about how to broaden their funding base, how to think about income generating activities as well as an NGO. And we gave them each like a little handbook. So it wasn't a huge thing, but it was something that we got very positive feedback on because our NGOs went, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So yes, that was one of the things that worked really well.
I think one of the, probably the most under-considered value-added services, which in my humble opinion, is the biggest opportunity, is research and evidence. Guys, this is what they do. They've just implemented a program. They've just got all this data. They know what works. There must be value to it. So by giving it away, they negate the value, but they also negate an income opportunity. So a lot of the NGOs that we have been exposed to, the bigger guys, we're really looking at adding services. There's one other fish I just want to throw out in this pond. Guys, we've even discounted our own value. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. By giving to beneficiaries. I just want you to think a little bit about this. We give food. We give bursaries. We give books. Here's one of the truths of the world. When you get, and it didn't cost, there's a different perception. Just think about your own life. I'm challenging you. I know this is way out, and you're probably going to like, this is totally impossible. Just want you to consider, hasn't the time come that we ask for community or beneficiary contributions? I know it's like radical, just get over that. I'm just saying, guys.
But it doesn't have to be money.
So I'm saying, and so there's a whole new development around community asset-based development. I just want to leave it there. I'm just saying one thing. By giving, don't we fuel unsustainable development? I just want to challenge you on that. I'm not asking you to turn your CSI into a profit-making center. That's not where I'm at. I'm just saying, if we really want community participation, if we really want community contribution, if we really want community ownership and accountability, shouldn't we put a value on something? I'm just asking. And I'm going to ask you specifically as well because of bursaries and payback. Because if we're going to look in a little while on social innovation, here is the thing. If we can turn our investment into an interest-bearing model, and I'm going to show you the case studies, it allows us to do more. Because we're going to get income. Can you just see, we apply business thinking over the last 1.5 days to a lot of our thinking. Shouldn't we carry this through and really turn it into a social investment that brings about a return, a physical return, that we reapply and do more? Brenda.
So I just wanted to say there's a community in Limpopo that had transport challenges, and so an organization decided to give out bicycles to help them move from one place to another. And because they kind of donated the bicycles after some time, probably, I'm not sure, maybe 6 months after, or whatever the time was, they went back to the community, and most of those bicycles were not functioning, they were broken, they were just everywhere. And so they then decided, okay, why don't we make them actually pay? So we're not going to make them pay 3,000 rands because we know they can't afford it, but we'll say 100 rands, for instance, then you can get the bicycle. So the value in that was, I've paid for it, it's my bicycle, so I need to actually take care of it. And when they did come back after a while, they actually noticed that there was a difference in terms of how the community are taking care of the bicycles in terms of from being donated to actually them buying them for a certain price. So, yeah.
Think about internet cafes that we've already started developing. I'm just saying the reason why we started internet cafes, which turned into multi-purpose centers, is to set up entrepreneurs to generate an income so that the center can become profitable and sustainable. I'm just saying, so why don't we apply the same logic to everything that we do? I know I've put you on the spot. I'm just saying, instead of giving a bursary, isn't there, because if I get a loan, there is an expectation I've got to pay back. But I'm just saying, isn't there an opportunity to empower more?